You're. Oh man, do we have the wrong chat up again? A little tricky. It's fine. We'll fix it. What's up, chat? Happy Saturday, January 30th, 2021. Man, my rig's going a little slow. I probably should have did a cold reset. But give me just a second, chat. Let me get you guys up on the main stage. Hopefully you guys had a solid night last night. Let me pull this up over here. I probably should have left the starting soon. Well, I guess I couldn't have. Hopefully you guys had a solid night last night. Made out with more than you started with, or at least gave yourself a chance to live to fight another day. Right? No, it says chat. Where are you? Let me see something. Do we have the right chat up? Yeah, we do. I'm tripping. I'm hard tripping right now, chat. All right, right chat is up. I'm Gun. Twitter.com/Gundacker. And we are ready to play an 8-game NBA slate. I've been missing the 6 to 8 game range for quite some time. So hopefully tonight gives me what I've been waiting for. It's been a while. Shout out to the live chat. Shout out to Sergio, Tall to God. Says I have a one-way ticket to take down City tonight. All right, I'm with it. Offensive username. I like that. What's up, Alton Marshall? Ready to take down a tournament tonight? Let's get it. How we doing? How's the mic? Mic sounds good. We good? Let me close that out. Been snapping in here. What's up, buddy? My stuff's going. BK7, Brian Self. E-Money. It's to the point when I break even, it's a big win. Hey, if you're a multi-entry guy, expect that your average night is a little low, below, at, or a little above break even, and you're just swimming until you get that big fish. And it'll come as long as you have a solid process and you kind of go back. Like at the start of every stream, I like to go back and kind of like, what broke the slate last night? Was it lucky? Was it anomalaic? Was it super ceiling? I think you guys should be doing that as well on your own and looking at your picks versus what won stuff, right? Josh Redfoot would have been a good night if only Gordon would have showed up. Man, Aaron Gordon has been killing me lately. I'm just about at the slot machine at this point. What's up, Crispy? Hunter M voted up. Appreciate that, man. Always coming through with the thumbs up. Shadow Stefan, Barrett Kapler. Peek me at the top of the leaderboards. Big checks only. Let's get it. We don't do checks here, though. Cash only. All right. Hey, last night, Giannis Antetokounmpo led the entire slate in fantasy points accrued with 67.75 DKP. YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth. Chat, am I robotic? I don't know. I'm getting a notice from YouTube that the feed isn't super solid, but it is what it is. I probably should have hard reset. I've done like a bunch of streams since my last reset. James Harden, number 2 scorer last night, 61.5. Jokic, 61. So all these 10K guys literally did what you needed to do, break 60 fantasy points. Joelle Embiid, 2 guys that I thought was kind of funny at the end of the slate. Joelle Embiid and Lonzo Ball were questionable throughout the day. And Joelle Embiid plays and obliterates value 59 and a quarter. And then Lonzo Ball played 5,700, dropped 47 and a quarter. So the questionable guys getting it done. If you had pieces of them, you probably did well. Fred VanVleet, I was all over Fred VanVleet. He was a late promotion to tier 1 for me. Him and SGA. Reason being is we got news that OG Anunoby would be out, and then Norman Powell was out. So there was just like, in my mind, pre-flop so many minutes. Just played an average 36 minutes, but against the Sacramento Kings, worst defense in the league, it was just too much minute equity to pass up, knowing that he'd likely assume a lot of the responsibility scoring, and he also picked up 4 still, so massive play there. DeMar DeRozan, he was popping in my models when I was running optimals. It just, hey, you need DeRozan, and I backed up on him. I didn't really realize that he was 6'8", But he crushed it against Denver with 30 real points. And then the rest, there was really not any surprises here and there. Everyone kind of just did what, an average day. Westbrook got ejected, dealing with Rajon Rondo. PJ Washington must have heard me disrespect him. 9 rebounds for him. My bad. But Brogdon was a fun sweat in the Discord. Chronic and Young C sweating his, I think it was 23.5 PRA. And they got there like on the last, like with 40 seconds left in the game. So that was fun. Other than that, it was a pretty average slate. A couple bustos that might have brought you down if you had guys like Aaron Gordon, right? Van Jones, greetings, gun. Let's take that money. Let's go. What's up, WF Fresh? Love the show. Big Yankees fan. Let's get it. Yes, sir. AD was out, though, against the Pistons. Lonzo again tonight. You like that? BK Simmons, Deonte Murray again with Hunter out. Deonte Murray again with Hunter out. Okay. Terrence Davis was doing great in the first half. Yeah, so I was kind of, when Anunoby and Norman Powell was out, I was like, is it Terrence Davis? Is it Stanley Johnson? Is Chris Boucher just going to have to pick up some minutes at 6K? Like, there were several different scenarios that I kind of saw coming from the Raptors, and really none of them worked. I think I did see Stanley Johnson in one of the winning lineups, but he was the guy I was leaning on the most, just kind of like game log watching minutes and production, and I was just banking on who would get the most minutes, but I don't really think anyone was shook the slate to its core in terms of value. Utah Watanabe is a 3K power forward. He did his thing. If you guys were with the with Theo Maledon, he was probably one of my highest owned value plays, and absolutely crushed it. OKC ended up getting smacked, but Horford, Maledon, even SGA was bleh. But the rest of the Thunder got there. 36.75 at 3,400 for Maledon, and Horford almost 40 at 5.9. So I was happy with that. But SGA let me down. Aaron Gordon let me down on FanDuel, and that kind of weighted me back. But as is with DFS, you live to fight another day. Fantasy Labs 3 p.m. tweet. Watch for LeBron James questionable. He's been questionable every game. Probably going to play. AD questionable. He's somebody that maybe you could see missing. Kristaps Porzingis questionable. And I don't know if anything's coming out, but Porzingis, this would be Dallas's third game in 4 nights, night 2 of a back-to-back. I'd be kind of surprised if Porzingis played since he sat out the last back-to-back. There is a back-to-back this season in which he did play, but it seems like if you have him identified as one of your load management guys, you probably back up on that. So if Porzingis is out, maybe a little bit more usage there for Luka as if he needs it, and maybe some supplementary Mavs guys fall through and do well. Jimmy Butler, he's been activated for a while from the COVID stuff. It's been basically a conditioning thing. So it seems likely that he's closer to in than out. We'll see. Tyler Hero's been dealing with those neck spasms. And Rocco, officially questionable. He's missed the last game, I believe, last 1 or 2 games, which has elevated Carmelo Anthony for me in Tier 1 usage and not usage, but Tier 1 exposure in my personal lineups on FanDuel. I don't know what his price is today. We'll get to that. And then Enes Kanter's front court minutes have been a little bit safer, so I would definitely like Rocco to be out. Let's see what you guys got before we jump into it. Hip-hop studies. I don't understand why LeBron and AD always got a game time next to their decision. There's guys that do that, man. Derek Favors has been like that for years. Quan AD, Terrence Davis, yep. Thoughts on Arenado to the Cardinals? I can't wait for baseball. I can't wait for baseball either. Arenado to the Cardinals makes absolutely no sense to someone that's watching from the outside in. Arenado, arguably a top, third baseman overall in baseball. There's Arenado, Anthony Rendon. And that's probably the short list. You can make a case for Matt Chapman, but I think his offense isn't quite as electric as a Rendon and Arenado. So I don't know. Arenado's really good, and for them to do that trade and then throw in $50 million is absolutely ridiculous. Like, if that was on the trade block and you knew you can get $50 million with one of the best players in the league. Every team should have been picking up that phone. It doesn't make sense, but no trade clause. He wanted it, I guess. So St. Louis has a shot in the NL Central to do whatever they need to do. St. Louis has some guys that, between him and Paul Goldschmidt, guys from like 4 or 5 years ago that were super, super elite. Interesting. I don't like the trade, though, from a fairness standpoint. I feel like that's one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen. Maybe there's more to it than what has come out to the public, but I don't get it. Chris Boucher should start with Siakam instead of coming off the bench. So last year, the Detroit Pistons were doing a thing where Derrick Rose would continuously start the second half, and it looks like that's what the Raptors are doing. Boucher often starts the second half, which makes sense. You want to shake things up, keep him fresh, maybe keep him out of foul trouble, manage his fouls a little bit more. And then, fall back on Aaron Baines a little bit. So I think that's a similar approach. And we see that with several other guys as well. Never taken Chris B is a beast, great shot. Oh, Chris Boucher, okay. Machado. So Machado, Rendon, and Arenado, definitely 3 guys in the mix. My Rays screwed Snell. They did. The Rays, they'll probably still be in the playoffs, though, playing that money ball stuff. But this year's playoffs, not expanded, and there's no DH in the NL. So I'm curious to see how that plays out. But I'm also very fearful of a lockout when this CBA comes up, because there's some interesting stuff happening. Anyway, we're here for basketball. So if you guys are here and ready to jump into it, hit that thumbs up on this video, and let's get going. No Rod today. I'm solo, so keep me on my toes. If something drops on Twitter, do me a favor, spam the YouTube chat, and we will get it going. I am using the RunDFS.com NBA VIP spreadsheet to navigate throughout the duration of this podcast and this live stream. Today, Vipers, if you guys are subscribed to the VIP, I did put an everyone tag in the Discord. I am working on a player props tab. Based on my projections, I've noticed in probably the last week or so, a lot of the pre-log voice chat for VIP has really turned into PRA discussion and prop bets. So I figured, why not add another dimension to the spreadsheet and throw this in here? And I'll also try and partner with a few sites to maybe benefit you guys. So we'll see how that goes. But if you guys are subscribed to the VIP and maybe you're not super active in the Discord, but you do watch the streams, we did add this tab. So if you guys can pick up PRA bets or fantasy point bets, these fantasy points are based on FanDuel. I noticed the site, Prize Picks, does the exact same scoring. So that was kind of the inspiration for this one. So check that out. We'd love to add another dimension, another layer to the content, and we'll see. We'll grind it. We'll keep it going. Happy anniversary, God. I appreciate that, Quan. Salary cap on DraftKings 50, or it's 50 on DraftKings, 60 on FanDuel. Project starting 5 for the Houston Rockets: John Wall, Victor Oladipo, Jayshawn Tate, PJ Tucker, Christian Wood, taking on Lonzo Ball, Eric Bledsoe, Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson, and Stone Cold Steven Adams. We have a Houston team. Oh, by the way, this slate locking in an hour after usual, 8 p.m. Eastern. So get an extra hour to prepare. That's why this stream was pushed back. Some of you guys might have saw it was initially scheduled for 2. I pushed it back when I saw a late lock. This Rockets team, I saw a stat on Twitter the other night. I think it's only like 4-game sample size, but it turns out since trading James Harden and having Wall, Depot, Wood, and Boogie on the court, the Rockets' defensive efficiency has been really doggone good. So that's something to look out for as we continue the next couple games for the Rockets. Is their defense good? Pelicans last night kind of stunned the Milwaukee Bucks, looking to keep it hot here. Night 2 of a back-to-back. Lonzo Ball, 5,400 on FanDuel. 5K on DraftKings. That's awfully cheap. I have him projected at value on both sides, 28.6 DKP in 30 minutes of work. I definitely don't mind doubling down from his potential last night. I would say we would taper our expectations because the Milwaukee Bucks do produce a much faster paced style of basketball. Rockets going to be a little bit more league average, and the Pelicans a little bit lower than that. So maybe an average 25, 30 fantasy points is there, but I think at that price point we can take it. Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson, both guys that can pay off at this price point, 8,100, 7,400 on DK, and about the same on FanDuel. No pushback here. Zion is starting to get those rebounds a little bit more lately. His rebound average on the season has fallen under 8 rebounds per game. But if you look at the last couple games, last night, 9 rebounds. Washington, no excuse, 2 rebounds in 33 minutes, 11, 3. So on days where he's getting 8 or more rebounds, he turns into a solid play. And then days when he's not, I mean, look at this, 32 real points for 40 fantasy points, 27 real points against the Utah Jazz, 33 fantasy points. Like, how could a player score 27 fantasy points, 27 real points and be a horrible fantasy play? Then that's the give and take with Zion right now. But I do think this is a matchup that he could thrive and get 7, 8 rebounds. So I don't mind looking at him. Christian Wood at 9,400 on FanDuel, 8,700 on DraftKings. I really need to flirt with 50 fantasy point potential. I do think he can get it here, but I'm not as enamored. I got him projected right at about 40 fantasy points. And DeMarcus Cousins, filling in strongly during that stretch where Christian Wood was out. We saw Boogie minutes. I did it. Everyone does that. You've all done that. You've typed in Boogie. We saw that stretch where Boogie had, exceeded 30 minutes per game, and then the first game, with Christian Wood back, 11 minutes played. I do think, knowing that he stretched out a little bit more in a more competitive game, we could see him thrive a little bit. Revenge narrative if you want it, but you just can't touch Boogie at this price point really on either side unless you had a Wood out. So Wall and Depot, kind of the first two guys that I think about and consider. I think Victor Oladipo on DK kind of wins the tiebreaker at 35 projected minutes. We saw him exceed 40 fantasy points that last game. That's about like the peak of my interest. I don't have warm and fuzzies on any of these price points individually. Like if I scatter them and spray and pray in like tier 3 exposure levels, I just don't feel like I'm getting a fantastic deal all the way around. It's not the same Pelicans team that we're used to. They are a bottom 8 team in pace. The Rockets with this unit on the court is probably going to be medium to slow paced as well. So I do think I'm lowering my ceiling expectations unless this game just absolutely turns into a shootout. And it's a 1-point spread. We might get 12 rounds, but for the most part, pre-flop, these prices just feel like tier 3 exposures for the most part. But I can get down with a little bit more elevated ownership personally on Lonzo Ball. Chat, what are you guys doing with this one before we move on to the next one? Hip Hop Studies says Brandon Ingram ? Yeah, Ingram and Zion. Like anytime you put those two in a lineup, there's absolutely no pushback from me or anyone with a brain for basketball. Makes a lot of sense. Is there a 50+ fantasy point potential here? It's 220 total. I think in a vacuum, yes, but at the most part, like I think the Rockets defense is better than publicly perceived, and this Pelicans offense is slower than publicly perceived. So you put that together, this game could just be an average game unless that 1-point spread turns into a down to the wire type of game. Mopar, what up, Gun? Hope everything is good. Quick question: what's the best run days winning you have ever had in DFS? Man, I don't think I tracked that. Maybe when I was a cash game player, I would track that. I remember one time being upset that I had lost 50-50 6 days in a row, and I had never done that ever. But ever since like migrating and transforming into a tournament player, where I could have 20, 50 lineups on DK, on FanDuel, stuff like that, I don't really consider days losing and winning. I guess the profit at the end of the day would be it, but like if you break even a lot, which I do, which most tournament or mass entry players do, I don't really track that. So that's a good question. I don't know. I don't track that, but yeah, all the time I type Boogie Cousins. We've all done that. We literally all have typed Boogie into FanDuel and DraftKings. There's other players that I've kind of. I remember when Zach Randolph was in the league, I would type Zebo. It's like, what? I'm not saying Zebo in the pool. Hunter says Bledsoe usage up, no love, too cheap. You like Eric Bledsoe, 5'6", 5'8"? I don't hate it. I think, can I get much more than 30 meat on the bone? Maybe, but I like no warm and fuzzy. So I think everyone's priced appropriately. I don't feel like I'm getting a fantastic deal anywhere specifically. I like Stone Cold Steve Adams. He's cheap, 5'2", 5K. Can I get over 30? I got him right at 30 fantasy points. So Lonzo and Steven Adams both project right at 5 to 6x value as stocking stuff for plays. I think my center spot's going to be really spoken for with Enes Kanter likely. But I don't think you're crazy for taking a shot or two there. Do you know why I didn't play JJ Redick? I think they might be shopping him for a trade. So veteran guys like that, maybe they didn't want to risk injury and then get something in return and rent him out to a team. Christian Wood and Boogie don't play much defense. I don't know. I think the jury could still be out on Christian Wood a little bit, just based on the team defense. Team defense is, to me, a little bit more important than individual defense, just because it sets the tone, right? I could put James Harden smack dab in the middle of the Celtics, and their team defense is going to fall backwards and get picked on. I think if your team has a defensive mentality, Tucker, Depot, John Wall, Christian Wood can only improve. So we'll see. Let's move on to the next game. Chicago Bulls hosting the Portland Trailblazers. Projects 35 for the Blazers. Damian Lillard, Rodney, I'm so hood. Carmelo Anthony, Robert Covington. They hate us because they ain't us. Cantor taking on Kobe White. Zach Levine, Patrick Williams, Larry Markkinen, and Daniel Gafford, perhaps, maybe. 233.5 total, 2.5 point spread in favor of the home team, Chicago Bulls. This game should produce a lot of fantasy points. The Chicago Bulls currently the second fastest paced team in all of basketball, so we're going to have a pace-up situation. And defensive efficiency, well, Chicago's pretty poor at that as well. Bottom 5 in defensive efficiency. Portland Trailblazers bottom 3. So it should be a defense-free game, and that's why when I look at some of those 8K guys in the Pelicans and Rockets game, I'm like, man, maybe I just want some guys in this game instead. Starting with Damian Lillard. He's 10.6K on DraftKings, 9.7 on FanDuel. I do not feel like that's enough to get me away from Dame Dollar on either side. DVP can tell a story with and without context. Chicago Bulls giving up the 4th most fantasy points per game to opposing point guards. If we go put some context to that, last couple point guards against Chicago, all you need to know, Marcus Smart, 26 minutes, dropped 42 and a quarter DKP. Like, that's crazy. It's like 1.5x fantasy point production. Devontae Graham, 38 minutes, 40 fantasy points. Victor Oladipo, 54 DKP in 33 minutes. And Luka Doncic dropped a smooth 87. So, yes, there's some high usage guys, but there's also some guys like Marcus Smart that don't consistently drop 40+. This has been a super plus matchup for all opposing point guards. Damian Lillard going to be an extremely high usage guy with extremely high minutes as he goes. The Portland Trailblazers go here. The Bulls also allowing a lot of steals per game, so maybe even get a couple of extra defensive peripherals like steals for Damian Lillard on FanDuel. 9,700. I definitely think there's an early intuition for me to have Damian Lillard as a tier 1 exposure guy for me tonight on FanDuel, meaning he'll likely be my highest home point guard. Enes Kanter, 6,900 on FanDuel, 7,100 on DraftKings. We've seen a couple of games now with 30 minutes. I mean, this is the Kanter role that I've dreamed of for years. 33 and 32 minutes. Always probably going to be at least a point per minute, but in more proper and upside matchups, faster-paced matchups, I think the sky is the limit. 50-plus fantasy points. 20 rebounds is I don't want to say reasonable, but it is a range of outcomes here against the Chicago Bulls, who are already a very porous rebounding team offensively, meaning more defensive rebounds to go around for Kanter. And then their defensive rebound rate is at 80%, but they're going to be down Wendell Carter Jr. here, so the front court's going to be a little bit softer. So I really don't have any pushback on Kanter. I'm looking for 40-plus fantasy points. I think it'll be there. I will say that maybe I would feel a little bit more confident if Rocco was out to open up some more front court minutes. He hasn't played since the Knicks game, and Kanter in that Knicks game got just 24 minutes. So I don't know if there's a direct correlation between Kanter getting 7 more minutes now with Rocco in and out. I still think they could use his size in the front court, but I would feel a little bit better about his minutes if Rocco was out. Kind of how I felt about Andre Drummond with Larry Nance. So I'm kind of keeping that in the back of my head. But the matchup is just absolutely pristine. DVP-wise, the Chicago Bulls are allowing... They're actually bottom half matchup, so a top 6 in preventing fantasy points to opposing centers. A little bit surprising, but I think without Wendell Carter, that takes a pretty significant step backwards. If Rocco is in, I do think he's playable. He's not a sexy click, but as a guy that could benefit from the steals per game allowed, 9.2 steals per game allowed, Rocco is definitely a guy that could take advantage of that. Carmelo's actually averaging a steal per game as well. So some of these ×3 fantasy point peripherals on FanDuel might pay off, and then just considering the matchup pace and stuff like that, Rocco could kind of get there. No warmer fuzzies on the Rodney Hood, the Gary Trents of the world, but if they get enough minutes, they can chip and chair their way. We saw Gary Trent start that last game. Will that happen here? Was that correlated to Rocco's absence? If it is, if it isn't, I think if I got him at 36 minutes of you against the Chicago Bulls might be worth a chip and a chair at 5K. So I'll be looking at that. But Lillard as a tier 1 for me. Kanter's probably going to start as a tier 2. And then based on Rocco's availability, I might move him up or down just based on what I think his reasonable range of outcome is here. On the Bulls side, Zach Levine, 8,800 on DraftKings. I'm more than fine running Levine back at Damian Lillard. I love that he's a shooting guard on FanDuel. Obviously, that's where he lines up at. But at 9K, could I get 50-plus fantasy points? I definitely think it's a possible and reasonable range of outcomes. The high 30 minutes for him, more than likely coming. And I do like the idea of just running Dame back at Levine and vice versa. Kobe White on FanDuel, chip in a chair, 6K, 35-plus fantasy points. I'd be okay with that. I got him projected for a little bit over 30. And then past that, do we want some shots on Daniel Gafford? 3K, bare bones main. Could he project well? Could that be a Cody Zeller spot from a couple nights back? Potentially. Thad Young, I think on FanDuel, I would highly consider at 4,200, especially since he's a power forward eligible player. If I can get 25-plus fantasy points, I'm there. And he's 44, 20, 27, 29, 34. Absolutely no reason to push back on him being a solid stocking stuffer. And in the absence of Wendell Carter, could push 25-plus minutes. Right now, I got him at 23, and I might tweak that a little bit. So plenty of viable plays in this game, and it should just be a defense-free shootout, right? Let's go see what you guys got in the live chat before we move on to the next one. Mopar says, will you take the over-under on Lonzo for 7 threes tonight? I would take the under. Is that a line somewhere, or are you being facetious? Anthony Hunt, what's up, Anthony? Which is better, Luka and Giannis on DraftKings team or Lillard and Zion? Ooh, I think I really love Lillard a lot. I mean, Luka and Giannis, right? Like, that can't be close price-wise. Luka and Giannis could combine for 140. Lillard and Zion, that's probably a 5K difference. But I do like the points per dollar for Lillard and Zion. That's a weird 2v2, man. Pete says, besides Dame Dollar, I have typed that into DK as well. You have and Levine. I like that young. I like that young a lot on FanDuel for sure. Has there been any rumors on Giannis potentially resting? I know it's a back-to-back they lost last night, but that's why I'm a little bit worried. Every now and then, we've seen the Bucks identify a team that can be beat without Giannis and rest him. So maybe something's there. Shadow Stefan says, what do you think about Kanter over under 29.5 points, rebounds, and assists? That's a great question, and it's a great segue. If you guys missed the beginning of the stream, I have added a player props tab in the RunDFS.com spreadsheet, putting my projected minutes on each player, the FanDuel fantasy points, which is also the same as Price Picks, which is a prop bet parlay site, points, rebounds, assists. So the question was Enes Kanter 29.5. So I'm going to Control F Kanter. and I have him at 31.1 PRA. So, yeah, I got him projected to beat that, so I would like that, right? Cantor's interesting. Thad Young's cheap on FanDuel, absolutely. Your knowledge of DF is vast, even greater than a wizard. Perhaps the wizard knows all the wizards he's all. Okay. W. German needs some help deciding on 3,200 spin. Pat Connaughton or Whiteside? I mean, if I'm punting a guard versus a center, I'd probably always go the center just for the floor, right? If it's not a scoring-dependent guard. So Whiteside, probably Whiteside. Let me revisit that question when we get to the Kings game, though. Derek TV, is this sports betting? Not specifically, but I don't mind like fielding a couple sports betting questions, but it's more so based on FanDuel and DraftKings. Kobe White 6K on FanDuel, mad discount. I do think there's room for upside at 6K on FanDuel for sure. The Wizard knows all the Wizards. Man, my man is reaching new levels of virgin territory. What are we doing? That is kind of a sweaty bet to take on Cantor. Props are super hard to hit. They are, but I do like PRA, right? I like encompassing all that. And I also like some of these sites, like Price Picks, would let you bet on the fantasy points too. So it's kind of like PRA in a sense, but you can double down. Moving on to Kings and Miami Heat. Project starting five for the Kings: De'Aaron Fox, Buddy Hield, Harrison Barnes, Marvin Bagley, Rashawn Holmes taking on Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, Jimmy G, buckets, Kelly Olynyk, and Bam Adebayo. We got 225 total with a 4.5 point spread in favor of the Miami Heat. Miami Heat still questionable all the way from the top down. So let's pull up the Miami Heat depth chart with injury reports via Roto World. Chad, if anything came out on Miami Heat like in the last 20 minutes, let me know. But I'm going to go player by player here and kind of get to the bottom of it. We do know that Jimmy Butler seems more like a conditioning thing than anything. But officially, Tyler Hero, neck spasms, questionable play against the Kings on Saturday. He missed 7 straight games with his neck injury, but looked great in his return on Thursday with 19 and 10, 5 assists, 32 minutes. Presumably, his addition to the injury report is a simple precaution, so he's likely closer to in than out. Goran Dragic, left groin strain, has been rolled out. Avery Bradley, right knee contusion, is questionable. He had just returned from extended absence with COVID-19 when he banged his knee in Wednesday's game. The Heat have been snake bitten with DNPs, blah, blah, blah. Jimmy Butler, the big one, COVID protocol listed as questionable. He almost returned to action on Thursday, but he was held out yet again. Saturday could be the day, especially with Dragic out. So it seems like there's a great chance Jimmy Butler's going to play here. The only thing that we'd have to monitor is if Spoelstra, if anybody says that he'd be on a minutes limit. If minutes monitored is the term, I'm not going to let that get me away from a shot at 7,300 Jimmy Butler against the league worst Kings defense, right? Andre Iguodala is listed as questionable with neck spasms. Neck spasms, huh? That's a common thing going on in Miami. Mo Harkless listed as out with a left thigh contusion. Chris Silva out as well. So that is the quick rundown on the Miami Heat situation. On the Kings side, they are on night 2 of back-to-back. Did pull it out against the Toronto Raptors last night. Remember, guys, the Raptors are playing in Florida as well. So it is a back-to-back, but it's not like they're going from Canada to Miami. So keep that in mind. 225 total here. I think the Kings players are somewhat self-explanatory. I think De'Aaron Fox leads my interest on this squad. I don't think I'm going to push the issue much elsewhere. I think Harrison Barnes does play enough minutes where you can chip and chair him as a stocking stuffer tier 3. If he fell, he fell. Rashawn Holmes getting a little bit expensive for me going against Bam Adebayo. I'm likely going to be able to stay out on that one and just use that money to go get Enes Kanter somehow. Tyrese Halliburton, big night last night, under 5K. Got to get 25-35 from him as a range of outcome, sure. And Hassan Whiteside. Somebody had just asked, Pat Connaughton versus Hassan Whiteside. Well, is there a little extra pepper in Whiteside's step going against Spoelstra? Maybe, right? I think I'm not a giant believer in revenge games for everyone, but that one was, it was there. So if Hassan Whiteside gets some run there at 3,200, I did like him in that last spot, and he crushed it. I think he almost 10x on DK. So if you're looking for a spin the wheel, make a deal value play, 20 minutes of Whiteside against the Raptors last night, 32 fantasy points. Definitely think that's in the range of outcomes here, and he would likely be playing some inspired basketball. So don't run away from this saying Gunn said tier 1 Whiteside, he's a can't miss. But I could see a world where 3,200 Whiteside helps you get to the top here. On the Heat side, Tyler Hero, I think everything that I would like or dislike about the Heat really is contingent on Jimmy Butler. If he played but was on a minutes restriction, would that be enough to kind of mess up everyone else in terms of their ceiling and what they could do? Probably. But if he played and was not on a minutes restriction, 7,300 on DraftKings, likely a little bit too cheap. Adebayo's 9-2 on both sides here. It's a pristine matchup going against Sacramento Kings. They give up a ton of points in the paint, 52.4. If we go look at that team metrics chart in the RunDFS.com NBA VIP spreadsheet, Sacramento gives up the most points in the paint in all of basketball. So a great spot for Bam Adebayo to score a lot of real points here. I got him projected for mid-40s fantasy points. I would need 50-plus at 92 to feel like I got a great deal at the center spot. So we'll see. I'm kind of just looking at Adebayo as maybe a tier 3 punt, but everything right here is glued together by Jimmy Butler's availability. It seems like he'll be available. Past him, looking at that bench, Kendrick Nunn might still have a chip in a chair at 5,900 if he did get 25 to 30 minutes at under 6K on FanDuel. Against this matchup, there's certainly a range of outcomes for him to thrive. But Hero and Jimmy Butler would definitely impact him quite a bit. Maybe if I can get Bradley out or something like that, I don't know, I'd feel a little bit better. But the Heat right now is based on if I'm taking notes, I'm writing Jimmy Butler, look for quote on minutes if played, and then if Butler was out, I'd be willing to go crazy on Hero and Adebayo here, but Butler could do just enough to be annoying. Josh Sennick says Halliburton keeps balling, and yet FanDuel keeps dropping his price tag. Halliburton is always breaking my projections every slate. What's up, Conscious Machine? I'm late, but I'm here. Love the show. I appreciate you, buddy. I see the Great Wizard got banned. That's a shame. I had high hopes for him. You would think the Wizard would have saw that coming, Luke Walton better not be a dumb A and not play Whiteside. Yeah, hopefully. Hero and Butler news is picked for this slate. Absolutely, Mark. I think Hero plays. I think Hero playing that last game. I don't really see a reason why he would play this game. Butler's the one that they've kind of been teetering here, and it seemed like Butler could have played that last game, but they just held out just a little bit longer, and it might be more of a conditioning thing. Van Jones' Whiteside crushed versus Miami last season with minutes given. Yeah, I think Whiteside on DraftKings would be a really fun value play, but understand the extreme volatility. Jesus, English is hard. I don't know how we do it. That he could just fall flat 10 or less fantasy points. On FanDuel, I probably don't push the issue unless he's randomly a power forward. And he's not. So I probably don't do it on FanDuel. But on DK at 3K, I can buy that. Bucks at the Hornets. Bucks night 2 of a back-to-back. Last night getting a little stunned against the New Orleans Pelicans. Project starting 5 for the Bucks. Drew Holiday, Dante DiVincenzo, Chris Middleton, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Brook Lopez taking on Devontae Graham, Terry Rozier, Gordon Hayward, PJ Washington, and Cody Zeller. 230.5 total. 8.5 point spread in favor of the Milwaukee Bucks. Milwaukee is playing their third game in 4 nights. Night 2 of a back-to-back. The Hornets are also playing their third game in 4 nights. Night 2 of a back-to-back. So, like I said, I haven't seen anything at all suggesting that Giannis might get some rest here, but he has been a load management candidate in the past. So maybe in the back of your mind, just be just in case, just answer the question, would I want Dante or Middleton at a higher level? And I think the answer is obviously yes on both sides. So just kind of look out for that. The total here, 230.5. plenty of implied points to be highly interested in the Bucks. It's an elite spot for Giannis Antetokounmpo. He said he led the slate last night. Fantasy points accrued, and it was on the wrong side of that game. So almost 60 fantasy points projected here. Chris Middleton's been a guy that's just been giving you chip in a chair for 40-plus fantasy points. I don't mind him. And then we've seen this question a couple times in chat. Dante DiVincenzo, 4,300 on FanDuel. That is very, very cheap, very obtainable. I could get behind that for sure. Drew Holiday's kind of a rough spot at that price point. But this is one of those fire and ice matchups, right? One of the fastest-paced teams in basketball. Milwaukee Bucks listed at top 6, top 7, going against Charlotte, which is bottom half of the league in pace. So maybe a couple extra possessions here for Hornets, and maybe if we think that the seesaw teeters more so to the Bucks blowing out the Hornets, we look at the bench here. LaMelo Ball at 5,200, 5,600 on DraftKings. I think there's plenty of game scripts, even if the game somehow stay close. There's plenty of game scripts here that would be favorable to LaMelo Ball. Finally got back to that 30-minute threshold last night. There had been a stretch of games where he had been playing, low 20s, and the coach had mentioned that, hey, there was a game where he had 7 turnovers in X amount of minutes, and they decided to rest him. And you get that with rookies, not rest him, but bench him. You get that with rookies. Last night was an indication that maybe they're ready to trust him a little bit more here, playing in a close game. So no matter what your game script is for this one, it very, very well could benefit LaMelo Ball if it did blow out. But even if it didn't, I don't think it's a super risky play. I got him right at 30 fantasy points on both sites. Kind of right there with the Lonzo Ball price point and projection. So, yeah, I don't mind that at all. And like we said, the Hornets are on game 3 and 4 nights, and night 2 of a back-to-back. So it could benefit them to play their young guy a little bit more. The Milwaukee Bucks, if you're going to compete with the Milwaukee Bucks, you're going to have to shoot threes. And we saw that last night with, Lonzo Ball. Last night, Lonzo Ball, the Pelicans, shot 13 threes, made 7 of them. So not necessarily a Steph Curry Jr. there, but he was able to land them at an incredibly high tick. And if we go to the team metrics chart in the RunDFS.com NBA VIP spreadsheet, 3 points per game allowed. The Milwaukee Bucks allow the third most points per game via the 3 ball. So there's plenty of reasons for that. One is their size and spacing, it's hard to get off on in the paint. And the other one is they're often just playing with the big lead, so you need to chuck threes to stay in it. Well, who do we like on the Hornets to chuck threes? I think there's a slew of three-point shooting guys. And Devontae Graham, Terry Rozier, obviously neither one of them are scared to pull up from the logo. Devontae Graham is a very, very affordable $5,900 on FanDuel. Could I exceed 30 fantasy points? And could this be one of those games where Devontae chucks, double-digit three-point attempts? Definitely think it's possible, and we've seen that out of Terry Rozier as well. 9, 12, 7 three-point attempts from Devontae Graham. At one point last year, he was on pace with James Harden for threes made. Terry Rozier's had games this season, I think, where he's hit 10-plus three-point attempts, 8, 9, 6. So absolutely a spot where Rozier and Devontae could turn some heads and surprise some people. Gordon Hayward, not going to shoot as many threes as consistently, but DVP-wise, you might be surprised at some names that are doing well against the Bucks here. Brandon Ingram last night, 36 minutes played, dropped 39 DKP. Norman Powell, 49 minutes played, 41 DKP. DeAndre Hunter, 42, 46. So high minutes and whatnot. LeBron James, 39, 59. We're not going to compare anyone to LeBron, but it's been a point-per-minute plus spot, and because of that, the DVP has actually pointed to the Milwaukee Bucks being one of the more favorable spots for opposing small forwards to get off on. So I don't think it's crazy to look at Gordon Hayward and think that he could outperform a salary on either side for mid-40s fantasy points. So if you got the Hornets, sticking in there within 20, there's several guys here that kind of fit the role of what you need to keep up with the Bucks, and that's 3-point shooters and the floor spacers. So a couple guys I'm interested in, but I definitely do like the thought of LaMelo Ball as well. If you did play the blowout side or the potential surprise Giannis rest, the Bobby Portis is an incredible spot, 4,200 on DraftKings. Again, very risky, very high in volatility. But it's there, and Pat Connaughton as well. Low price on both sites. Maybe he fell into an entire fourth quarter of action based on the scoreboard. Let's go pull up the live chat here. See what you guys got. By the way, chat, I forgot to turn the air off today. It's kind of hot. So if the air is making too much noise, let me know. I can turn the gain up a little bit. But I heard it just kick on a minute ago. I don't know if that's polluting the audio quality a little bit. Daniel Barron says, was the increased Whiteside run due to Holmes' foul trouble? What kind of minutes are you thinking? Great question, and we can maybe dig into this just a little bit. Let's go to the Sacramento Kings game from last night via Popcorn Machine. Anyone here play NBA Top Shot, just out of curiosity? Whiteside looks like got an appearance in the first quarter opposite Richaun Holmes. Richaun Holmes did not have a foul in his first run. How many total fouls did Holmes have last night? He fouled out. Wow, what did he do? Just start smacking people in the second half? Richaun Holmes picked up 2 personal fouls by half. 2 personal fouls in the beginning of the third quarter, and Whiteside did benefit from that, and he closed out. So I don't know necessarily that it was a minutes that he wouldn't have got. Maybe 19's pushing it, right? Maybe 15 or less, a little bit more likely. Maybe that extra, he basically closed the game for $140. So we take 2 minutes off the top here. Maybe 16 minutes is something there. But I don't necessarily think there's a lot of minutes that he picked up because of Richaun Holmes' foul trouble. But that's an excellent observation, excellent question. You're thinking, we thinking. Giannis snooze is huge for this slate. Is that a thing? Because I was just spitballing. I didn't see it on the site, so I don't want to start a rumor that's not actually backed up. I'm just thinking historically, the Bucks have managed Giannis's load, and third game in 4 nights back to back against a beatable Hornets team. I just think it's possible in my head, but I didn't see that anywhere. What's up, Gustavo? Van Jones, bad idea listening to your stream on my balcony. Boats going by blasting music, but dang, the sights are worth it. Okay. Humble brag. Aventura, Florida. Man, be safe out there, man. Don't fall off the balcony, but enjoy life. Blowout risk, LaMelo all the second half minutes. I like LaMelo quite a bit. Zeller looked good here. You think so, Mark? Man, I'm not as enamored by Zeller. Who picks up steals for the... No. I'm not as crazy about Zeller here as I have been in other spots. Brook Lopez can pull him out from the paint a little bit more, maybe suppress his rebound potential. I wouldn't talk you off of it, but I'm not as crazy about it. Keep it moving. I like Tillman, but I think Plumdog Millionaire is better. Tillman without Jonas Valanciunas for the Grizzlies. Over some of those cheap centers, I'm with that. Mopar, Dad's at the game tonight. Can we run LeVar Ball narrative? Sure. He did extremely well last night. Holmes was playing front hand, backhand. Yes, sir. Lonzo was only 5,400 at a big performance last night. Yeah, Nolan with the Nuggets here. Appreciate that. B Jelly was rolled out. So you think Bielisa being out benefited Whiteside? It's potentially there. 12, 10. Yeah, maybe there's a correlation there. But the 9th. So Bielisa hasn't played in a while. So maybe it's not a direct beneficiary of... It doesn't look like he's in the rotation. Zeller's 4,500 DraftKings, not greatest matchup. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. All right, let's move on to the next game. Boston Celtics hosting the Los Angeles Lakers. Project starting 5 for the Lakers. Dennis Schroeder, Kentavious Caldwell Pope, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Marcus Gasol taking on Kemba Walker, Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and Daniel Tice. A 218.5 total, 2-point spread in favor of the Lakers. The Lakers coming off a high-profile L to the Philadelphia 76ers. Looking to bounce back here. I believe this game's on TV as well. AD and LeBron listed as questionable. AD did miss the last game. LeBron's been questionable every game this season, so I got him in before he's out. Anthony Davis, if he plays, he's 9,300. That's dangerously cheap on DraftKings. We know his potential upside, and this is a Boston Celtics team that is a little bit scrappy defensively. Brad Stevens has a solid unit here, but a matchup-proof guy like an AD can get there. And then LeBron James, 10-5, 10-3. On DraftKings, I don't feel like there's enough value that's going to get you a LeBron and somebody else, and maybe LeBron's checklist is a little softer than a guy like Damian Lillard or Luka potentially without Kristaps Porzingis or Giannis, something like that. So maybe LeBron isn't a priority unless we got like an AD out or something like that. But at 10-3, I need that like 50 floor, and then we need 60-plus fantasy point potential upside. And the matchup is going to be tough. On paper, if these two teams are full strength, what we're dealing with is we go to that defensive rating metric. Lakers are number 1 defense in basketball, and Boston's looking league average, but I think if we put them full strength, there's been games where Tatum and Kemba, like where they've missed it. I think we put them full strength. We believe in them to be probably top 10 defensively. So I do think this is going to be an upper game in defense, if that makes sense. And then pace-wise, the Lakers run a bottom 10 pace in basketball, and the Celtics are not too far behind. So I don't expect this to be kind of a shootout, but sometimes these high-profile defensive games, especially a game like this, which, I don't have the Celtics winning the East, but possibly, this is a finals preview, and the Lakers likely play up here, play big minutes, and the same with the Celtics. So statement game all the way around. We've seen quotes floating around on Twitter. LeBron has called Tatum a problem, and there's a lot of respect between both sides. We know Jaylen Brown has loved playing up against LeBron James, especially when he was in Cleveland. So there's plenty of individually justifiable plays here, but it's hard to get too excited about the game as a whole. One of the lower totals on the slate. So I do think anyone I pull from this game will likely just be tier 3 guys. I don't see myself maybe handcuffing or stacking at a high percentage of lineups that I'll run. Maybe you run an LBJ AD handcuff at a Tatum or a Brown or something like that, but that's just not something I'm going to do commonly. Chad, I would be very, very curious to know your thoughts on this game and what you guys are going to do with this game, because it certainly could just be a fun real-life basketball game, and then for fantasy, maybe. Maybe we pull out some stat muse magic here while you guys let me know what you do. We'll look up some history here. So, first of all, how does LeBron James do against the scheming of Brad Stevens? DKP by game log versus Celtics. Let's go last 10 games, get a little bit of an idea. 53, 43, 64, 72, 70. And then the rest is with Cleveland. And Cleveland, I can't really get overwhelmed by that. Anthony Davis, somebody we want to look at here as well. Going against the Stevens schemage. 56, 60, 65. There's a 22, but that came in 23 minutes. Likely an injury game or something like that. So Davis's floor has been over 50 outside of this injury game and this 33 that came randomly. And I think if 9K, if we're getting 50 plus, like that DK price is so dangerous, that if he played, like I would kind of be sick to just not take that 50 plus. But against Philly, underwhelmed, but still took 18 shots. I'd be willing to double down on that here. And then I don't really need to run it back. But just out of curiosity, Jaylen Brown, DKP by game log versus LeBron James. Let's go last 10 games. 36-40. Yeah, all right. See what you guys do. By the way, if AD's out, yes, I'm seeing you guys mention Kyle Kuzma. Kuzma, 4,500, 5K. Doesn't excite me on either site in this spot, but at 4,500, I guess there's at least a justifiable case. Somebody knocking on my door. Gonna have to wait, buddy. Conscious Machine, McLemore's 3K minutes on... unless something happened, I don't think so. Gustavo says, Kemba's too cheap on FanDuel. Love the Celtics tonight. Is he still on a minutes cap? 6K is shipping a chair, sure, but can I get this? Can I get 35 minutes out of Kobe White for a little cheaper and feel a little bit better? Maybe. I don't know, man. I don't got the warm and fuzzies on Kemba here, but I wouldn't talk you off of it. Like if you're digging it, you got that feeling in your bad knee with the storm coming in, go for it. Better TV game than fantasy game, but I'm all over AD. Just feeling that game for him. Yeah, he's very, very, very cheap. Daniel says, same idea. Sit back, relax, catch a contact, and enjoy the game. I don't know what that means, sir. I don't know what that means. Marcus Smart for only 6,100. So I'm not that stoked on Marcus Smart here. I liked him in that pace-up spot against the Bulls, steal potential, and I think in that game Kemba was out. Usually the big Marcus Smart fantasy games are going to come when these defensive peripherals are there. The 5 steals, the 3 steals, the blocks in the mix. At 6,200, I probably want at least 36 fantasy points to walk away with, knowing that I got there. I just don't know that this pace and even this caliber matchup is going to feed what his strengths are. Many of these games have come without one of the other, Kemba, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum. So at this point, he's likely, tonight at least, just going to be that Rottweiler playing defense where they need him to. If he got there, but I just don't have the warm and fuzzies on him. Mark Case says, rule number 1, never play against a very good defensive team unless you absolutely have to. I mean, there are games where 2 defensive juggernauts will shock us. Like we've seen Raptors and Celtics in years past just kind of shock us, and the game goes to double OT or whatever. But, yeah, nothing pre-flop, warm and fuzzies, right? Julian, what are your thoughts on Christian Wood for tonight? I'll probably be very low exposure-wise unless somebody was out. I'd probably start him as a tier 3 at that price point on both sites. Just feels like I can't get a solid projection that would make me feel great. The Rockets, since trading James Harden, have been one of the better defenses on paper, statistically, analytically. I don't know if that's sustainable long-term. We have such a short sample size, but it's something to note. And I also think James Harden defense adds to teammates' upsides in terms of them having to score more. And I think if this team's going to slow it down a little bit without Harden, maybe Christian Wood shouldn't be 9K for us to feel great about. So, yeah. Gustavo says your knee's all rickety for Kemba still. All right. Ellington went off against the Lakers. Revenge game, right? Sit back, relax, catch a contact is Nas Cormega lyrics reference. Okay. I mean, I know what I didn't know the lyrics, but I know what catch a contact means. I was just being a little goofy. Memphis Grizzlies at the San Antonio Spurs. Next game on the docket, projects 35 for the Grizzlies. Ja Morant, Dylan Brooks, Kyle. The Andersons got tickets to the game. How they get tickets? Brandon Clark, Xavier Tillman, ticket on Deonte Murray, Derek White, DeMar DeRozan, Keldon Johnson, LaMarcus Aldridge. We got 220 total, 3.5 points spread in favor of the home team, San Antonio Spurs. The Memphis Grizzlies are playing their first game since January 18th. I haven't been able to do the Kyle Anderson bit since January 18th. So we got a fully rested Grizzlies team. They're going against San Antonio that did play last night. So I don't know if you're into the Ma ratings there, but San Antonio being favorited against a super rested Grizzlies team might be fun to bet against. I don't know. Jonas Valanciunas is out. Grayson Allen out. Jaren Jackson Jr. out. Justice Winslow out. That's about all the notable names here. So that is going to open up some front court opportunity. Xavier Tillman looks like the main beneficiary on DraftKings. He's 3,500. So I do think this price point maybe should eliminate most of the Hassan Whiteside test unless you really want to go studs and scrub and put Tillman in a forward spot. 29, 28 minutes for Tillman against Philly and Phoenix, and he was a fantastic fantasy play for value in those games. I can't imagine him not projecting well tonight, so he'll be likely one of the highest owned players on that site. And he might even excel on ownership on FanDuel as well, listed as a power forward. So 100% profiles as one of the highest home players on the slate if everyone is paying attention. Brandon Clark also should thrive here without Jonas Valanciunas, guy that can be a point per minute production type of player. Over 30 minutes for him. I'm a buyer. Ja Morant, 7-1 on DK. That feels a little soft. 34 minutes for him. He had just come back from that injury, and then the team got a couple games canceled, but we absolutely know his potential upside, and against the Spurs defense that's middling, right, and not running away, not running too. I absolutely think he has the minutes and usage to thrive, and I'd actually be curious to run a check on Ja Morant's usage without Jonas Valanciunas. So let's take J-Val off the court, and let's just put Ja Morant on and run it. Ja Morant has a 30% usage in that scenario, about a fantasy point per minute, and Brandon Clark 1.2, Xavier Tillman 1.3. So you almost could justify a little Grizzlies 3-man stack. I likely am going to be back on Kyle Anderson, like pushed back on, walking back on Kyle Anderson. Revenge game, sure. 58, 56 could get you to 25, 35 fantasy point window to where you feel like you're not missing or you're not busting, sure. I got him at 27 DKP. Dylan Brooks is another chip in a chair guy. There's a lot of 5K shot in the dark guards today. Guys like Buddy Hield, 6K shot in the dark shooting guards here. So you put him in that pile of players. But for the most part, I think this is Clark, Tillman, Ja Morant in the front end, and Clark and Tillman might even be higher owned guys for me just based on their price point and positioning. On the Spurs side, DeMar DeRozan's coming off a massive game last night. Price is $7K on DraftKings, so if he was 68, I think, last night, a couple $100 more, could still produce at a 40-plus fantasy point level. I think the LaMarcus Aldridge price point is always going to be a little trappy, but at Tier 3 exposures, if I have him at 10, 15%, I feel like I'm taking an okay shot in the dark here. It's kind of like I say it all the time. Him and Blake Griffin right now are at such suppressed prices that you feel like you always want a little piece of them if you're mass entering. So I probably will have a little piece of them. And then Deonte Murray on DraftKings at 6,300. I can't get away from that price point. I know he has an upside here. Even at a point per minute, 6,300, I'd take 36 and feel like it's an okay spot. But 40, 32, 46 in his last 3 games. Against Memphis earlier this season, he dropped 45 DKP. Deonte Murray has a case to be a Tier 1 type of guy for me on DraftKings in terms of exposure levels. And then with some guards out here, you might look at a Patty Mills or Derek White, but nothing too exciting for me. But give me Deonte Murray for sure. See what you guys got before we move on. Van Johnson's Derek White's return makes all Spurs unplayable to me, fading. I'll still play Murray. Remember, Tillman had one good game, but Dame is 3,500. Okay. Gorgie saying Tom Brady. What's up, Tom? Gorgie saying could be a sneaky rebounder too. Not sure though. Yeah, I got Zhang right now at 14, 15 minutes. I definitely think. There's a range of outcomes where Tillman can get in some foul trouble or something like that, and Gorgie saying benefits. Or Gorgie saying just might play more minutes than I have him for. I got him really soft. Julian says, low-key, Mason Plumley is a great play. He's been going off. Plumley is usually a point per minute, 30 fantasy point guy, right? Hunter says, Gunn, you are not worried about Ja minutes having not played in so long. Can you name your top 5 FanDuel point guards? So I can't speak on behalf of what they've done, but I think the health and protocol stuff isn't go sit in a room for 10 days. It's be quarantined, be responsible. But these guys have their own gyms. I'm sure they've got facilities that they're keeping their conditioning in. So as long as these guys weren't out for injury, and Ja Morant was injured, but he had come back from that, I can't imagine that their conditioning is that low. I do think this Grizzlies rotation is getting back to the point where it's going to be very, very diverse. I only have 2 Grizzlies at over 30 minutes projected minutes played, but I wouldn't be worried about Ja's conditioning because I don't think he's missed out on the treadmill or whatever they've done in the last 10 days, right? Derek White back, Deonte Murray. Yeah, I still like Murray's price on DK. I just think that's such a good spot. The Memphis Grizzlies have been allowing a lot of blocks per game. Derek White averages 2 blocks per game, and I feel like that's not a large sample size. There's not really much for me to paint a picture there. So give me Ja, give me Brandon Clark, give me Tillman, give me Deontay on DK. And yeah. We'll move on to the next game here. Phoenix Suns at the Dallas Mavericks. Project starting 5 for the Suns. Chris Paul, Mikal Bridges, Jay Crowder, Cam Johnson, DeAndre Ayton. Taking on Luka Doncic, Josh Richardson, Tim Hardaway Jr., Dorian Finney-Smith, and Kristaps Porzingis. Let's do a refresh here on Fantasy Labs Twitter. See if anything has dropped in since I've been live. Looks like nothing has. So my educated guess on Porzingis is that he doesn't play. This is the Mavericks' 3rd game in 4 nights. It's night 2 of a back-to-back. We have seen Porzingis play a back-to-back this season, but then the last back-to-back he sat out, and that it seems like in the last couple seasons it has been more likely for Porzingis to not play back-to-backs. So I'm just going to assume and guess that Porzingis is out as of now. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but we should have more clarification as we get closer to the lock. So with him probably being out, we know Luka Doncic's usage rate is going to go really, really high. Man, the Mavericks here are 1-point favorites and could be without Porzingis. I know the Suns are without Booker, but man, Suns are rested. Mavericks are not. I'd probably take some. I wish there was a little bit more value in the Suns money line here, but there's likely not, right? So Luka's usage is going to go high, 11K on FanDuel, 10.7. You guys didn't watch the stream to know my thoughts on Luka Doncic. You know he could drop 70. Any given Sunday, the Phoenix Suns defensively do profile a little bit better than most teams. And the Mavericks offensively have kind of struggled, and there's been a couple really tough games here in the last couple of days on this calendar for the Mavericks, where a lot of Mavericks fans are starting to get worried that this team just ain't it. So past Porzingis, who would I take some shots on? Don't really have a need for another cheap center like Dwight Powell. Maybe Willie Cauley-Stein gets some minutes as well, but I just don't really have a need for cheap centers here. Hardaway, Jay Rich, Jalen Brunson, like all these guys just seem like I can go elsewhere at the price point. So I won't be highly enamored with anyone not named Luka, and I won't even be that high on Luka in terms of my personal exposures. On the Suns side, Chris Paul 7'2", 7'6". I think that's fine. I think if you look at the Suns game log, you might get a little bit sour taste in your mouth based on that last game, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Especially, let's start with a guy like DeAndre Ayton. If we pull up DeAndre Ayton, 7,800, 23 minutes against Golden State. I think what might fall through the cracks in context is the fact that the game was a blowout. We pull up the popcorn machine here for Phoenix and Golden State. Look at this fourth quarter. First of all, you guys might remember that Frank Kaminsky almost triple-doubled. Well, Frank Kaminsky did play the final 17 minutes of the game. Like, he closed it out. And DeAndre Ayton did not touch the court since leaving halfway through the third. Chris Paul came in for a little burst here in the fourth quarter, but only 27 minutes. He likely closes that game out for 32 minutes. Same with Jay Crowder. So a lot of these minutes here on the Suns are likely 32, 35 in neutral games. So I'm willing to maybe take advantage of the prices not going where they should have gone, especially on a guy like DeAndre Ayton. AK-ish, I feel like we've had 2 games without Devin Booker, and people that are playing DeAndre Ayton because of that just have not been rewarded. And I would be willing to stay at that slot machine, assuming it's coming, right? 5 real points against OKC, I think we all agree, is a little bit of an anomaly. And then he was well on his way against Golden State to being a super slate-breaking play. So against the Dallas Mavericks front court, likely without Porzingis and without Clayball, guys like that, I'd be willing to have
probably tier 2 exposure to DeAndre Ayton. And Chris Paul's a chip in a chair for 45, 50 fantasy points. Although I would probably have him as a tier 3 at best. As it stands, Jay Crowder, another guy I would play. He's close to 6K, so I need that 30+, but he would be in the mix as well. And then Cam Johnson, 4,600. Like, he's another guy that we've been playing without Devin Booker, and he's not paying us off, but I'm willing to keep going after him for the 30+ minutes here, and hoping that it's going to pay off eventually. But I think Ayton's the biggest guy I want to stay at the slot machine for. See what you guys got in the live chat before we move on to the next game. Mark K says, if Porzingis is out, who's starting Power or Willie Stein? So we've seen Willie Cauley-Stein draw a bunch of starts. So we've all seen him start alongside Kristaps Porzingis. I would assume that would be the play, but yeah, I don't likely play either one of them, to be honest. I like the Rockets backcourt against New Orleans. Pelicans and Rockets look like a nice game stack. I could see that. Mopar says, what do you mean Porzingis didn't play last night either? Dude had like 5 fouls in the first half. Are you talking to me or somebody? I missed something in the chat. Porzingis is okay. So you're saying, is there a thought that you guys have that Porzingis didn't play enough minutes last night to be worried? 25 minutes? Yeah, that's enough to be worried about. Spurs are playing third in 4 nights also. Can we expect Pop to rest? And who is beneficiary? Vassal. So I tell you what, there's a couple of narratives that get brought up in DFS all the time, and one of them is AD injury prone, and I think I've kind of killed that. He hasn't been the AD to the locker room, doesn't come back like he did 1 year. If you look at his season, like, he's been playing plenty of games and averaging plenty of minutes per game. And the other one is Pop. Like, when was the last time you actually been popped? And those of you that have been around for 5-6 years, you'll remember the troll jobs that Pop would do. But we haven't actually seen that happen in a while. I don't think so. So I can't really put some hype around the potential of us getting popped because of the situation. It is a game 3 and 4 nights as well. But I don't think getting popped has been a thing for me to kind of put some logs on that fire, So, yeah. Luka called the team out last night. After their 4th straight loss, a ticked off Luka signed me off. Okay, I'm with that. Luka versus Chris Paul, old man defense signed me up. Blurry. Am I blurry? Everything's so blurry. If I'm blurry to you and you can still hear me, you could probably click settings and manually adjust it to the video output that you prefer. I do believe that sometimes YouTube will automatically choose one that's based on your current connection, right? Nolan says, real talk, guys should eat against Charlotte. They have no rim protection. I agree. Frank the Tank almost got a triple-double last game. Again, Frank Kaminsky closed out he played the final 17 minutes, and that's likely not going to happen in a neutral game. So maybe don't get stuck on an island game log watching. You know what I'm saying? Don't be Raj. Don't be Raj. I think at 3K we're just gonna play Xavier Tillman, unless you think that the Mavericks can get smoked or whatever. Where's my other phone charger? I have so many wires hanging on my desk right now. I'm just looking for my phone charger. I think I found it. There we go. Anyway, can you name your top 5 FanDuel point guards? Raw points only. I'll just show you my projections. They're just going to get tweaked in a little bit anyway. So we'll go projected FanDuel points, high to low. We'll go FanDuel position. Take them all off. Put point guard on. Boom. Luka, Damian Lillard, Steph Curry, Fox, Chris Paul. Top 5 based on raw points, if that's what you want. Man of the people. What's up, Lorenza? No blur. Lit. Let's move on to the next game, which is the last game. So we take a pause for the cause and plug some stuff here. If you guys are just tuning in, 170. Could we get some thumbs up, a little hype on the stream? Maybe double check to see if you are subscribed. And if you are subscribed and you want notifications so you're not late to the stream, hit that notifications bell. Otherwise, if you guys want to hang out with me more and support the stream, support the site, and all the things that we're doing here, you can do so by going to rundfs.com, making yourself an account, clicking VIP passes, and finding a subscription that's right for you. $30 will get you locked in for a week. I know that sounds a little steep, but I think it's well worth it. That's going to unlock daily access to the rundfs.com NBA VIP spreadsheets, which will aesthetically pleasingly display each slate with some pertinent information, my personal player projections for DraftKings, FanDuel, Yahoo. As of today, we've added the player props tab, which if you guys are sports betting junkies or player props or anything like that, I have my personal projected points, rebounds, assists, the PRA, so you guys can do a little hunting for that. If you trust the projections, I will also be listing my favorite plays on each slate, my personal player pool. If you guys want to tail that or compare yours to mine, I'll show you yours if you show me mine. That's weird. Pause. You guys can get access to that. And then probably the biggest bang for the buck here, I think, is the rundfs.com VIP Discord. This is a application you can download on your desktop or your mobile device on the go, and it'll keep you in the know, in the now. And it's just a amazing community of DFS and sports betting grinders at all different bankroll levels. I'll say it before I say it again. We've got AD. He's binked the 100K tournament in NBA. Jake binked the 100K tournament in NBA. Always be placing. Literally won the millionaire maker on DraftKings in week like 15 or 14. So it's not just the low-tier guys, but then we got guys grinding, and guys and girls grinding the quarter arcades and stuff like that. We got single-entry grinders. We got sports betting junkies. We got something for everybody. So we'd love to have you part of this community. And then every day before lock for 2 hours preceding main slate lock, I'm in the NBA voice chat, and we're hanging out. We're making lineups. We're talking to Breeze. We're getting to know each other a little bit more and having some fun. So if you guys want a cool way to support the stream, support the site, get a little something in return, and join a really sharp and fun community, definitely invite you to go to rundfs.com, get signed up, and try out a VIP. If you have any questions, twitter.com/Gundecker. They'll get you in there. Let's get caught up on chat before we get into the main event here. Mr. Shadow Dog, if you think Top Shots is trash, to like, whoa. I actually just bought I'm a little late to the Top Shots part. I'm not late to the party, but I've been hesitant to the party. And they did it. I don't know how many of you guys are on Top Shots or been following it, because the idea of it is just captivating to me, because it reminds me a lot of like MLB The Show, where you pack players and whatnot, and you play the market with fake currency. But now it's real currency. And I actually just packed or I won the rights to buy a Cool Cats pack, and I bought it, but I haven't been able to open it because the site's down. So I'm curious to see how that goes. But yeah. Julian says, anyone from the Heat Kings game you really like? There's going to be 400 points in that game. You think 400 points in the Heat Kings? It's really contingent on Jimmy Butler's availability. If Jimmy Butler's in and without a minutes restriction, like, I wouldn't be too worried about minutes monitored. But if he's in without a minutes restriction, he's likely a little too cheap on DraftKings. Other than that, I'm not pushing the issue on anybody. And if he were to be out, I think there's a very strong case for Bam Adebayo, because the Sacramento Kings allow the most points in the paint per game in the league. So I think Bam Adebayo could really take advantage of a high real points night. Conscious Machine, I'm afraid Lonzo won't get a lot of minutes, but at 5K, it's tough to sit. Any benefit to playing NAW for a shot at New Orleans resting fellas a bit? I don't think Lonzo is a rest candidate per se. I think right now he's balling out. I think he's a trade candidate. I've heard his name attached to several rumors, but I don't really have a reason to imply that we would be worried about his minutes or him being rested, right? Mark K says, hey, Gun, your top 3 values on DraftKings tonight. So, guys, I'll go back to the projections here. I haven't touched these projections since, like, 2 p.m., so there's a lot of tweaking to be done, especially between now and lock, but I'll gladly show what I have. So we're looking for top 3 DraftKings value plays. I got Tillman 1, Zeller 2, Lonzo Ball 3, Deonte 4. So I love the thought of Deonte. Anytime a 6K plus guy can be in the top 5 of value plays, I think that's really juicy to me. Zeller bust tonight. I don't think I'm going to play Cody Zeller, though. No adventures of Dante and Gun tonight. No, Mo lady's on the bed sleeping, and Dante's next to her. So, no shenanigans right now. Zeller is similar to Plumlee, high bust potential, but I'm playing him. I don't know that like. So Plumlee probably feels a little bit better for minutes, but like they both could just get 25 minutes and drop 30 fantasy points, and I think you obviously want the cheaper one, but I don't know how much stealing we're extracting here. I can't buy anything on Top Shots, too much crashing. So that's the funny thing. I bought the Cool Cats pack, and then I go to open it, and it says timeout. Our site is down. Blah blah blah. So, but I heard winning the rights to buy a Cool Cats pack could be lucrative. So hopefully I can flip $15 into a couple $100 and win. But I've had a lot of reservations about getting too invested in that site. But it looks like a lot of fun. German says I have Wiseman over Zeller much more. Okay. Trade candidate. Pelicans would be a fool if they traded Alonzo. Would they? I don't think they would. I've heard his name attached to a couple of trades. I don't know. I don't think. I think he's expendable based on. I think he's expendable. I don't think he's a bad player, but I think he's expendable. I have Wiseman at 20 minutes, 23 fantasy points, and Zeller 25, 26. So you take that. Yeah, okay. Sneaky value play, Precious. If Jimmy Butler's in, I mean, I guess if Iguodala and Avery Bradley and all those cats were out, maybe there's a case for Precious Achiuwa against the league worst defense, but I wouldn't get too stoked, but I guess it would be sneaky, sure. Detroit Pistons at the Golden State Warriors. Main event tonight, 10 p.m. Eastern time. This is an hour after the Dallas game, and then the rest of the slate is 8:30 or prior. Detroit Pistons project starting five: DeLon Wright, Wayne Ellington, Jeremy Grant, Blake Griffin, and Mason Plumlee. Taking on Steph Curry, Andrew Wiggins, Kelly Oubre Jr., Draymond Green, and Kevin Looney. A 224 total, 4.5 point spread in favor of the home team, Golden State Warriors. We're looking for some late-night hammers if we're just skimming through the Pistons side of things. Jeremy Grant is the homie. Why can't I quit you? 35 minutes. I got him projected to play the most minutes on the Pistons team, and he has been the highest usage guy for the Pistons all season, but his shot has been very Kelly Oubre-ish into where it's not that consistent. So there are games where his peripherals are kind of giving him a solid floor, but he's shooting 5 for 14 or 3 for 19, 4 for 15, stuff like that. Maybe this matchup is a little bit softer and we can get a solid game out of Jeremy Grant. That Lakers game, toughest defensive matchup in basketball. He didn't go to the free throw line 10 times like he had in the prior 2 games. But I'm willing to go back to some Jeremy Grant tonight in hopes of 40 to 50 fantasy points for tournaments. Blake Griffin is 5'8", 5'9". He's right there with LaMarcus Aldridge. They're the same player in 2021 with the same volatility. Maybe you look at the Pistons being more fresh-legged than the San Antonio Spurs. Spurs night 2 of a back-to-back. So give me a little bit of Blake Griffin there for 30. I'm sure he actually projects as a solid value here. 30 fantasy points on the nose here on DraftKings. Sure, I'd take that. And then we've talked about Mason Plumlee in the chat, 5554. I got him for 26 minutes. He'll be a point per minute. I think his most common range of outcome is probably about 30 fantasy points, which is right on the nose of what you're going to need at that price point. But you'll take it, right? You put that in your back pocket and keep it moving. So I don't mind that. DeLon Wright, somebody I want to play. I want to load up on DeLon Wright, but I haven't been able to push his minute projection too high. But he's had some really high fantasy point games in the last week or so, 29, 34, 56, 27 minutes against the Lakers. What are you going to do? But prior to that, Cleveland, 30 minutes, Philadelphia, 36, and there were some guys out in a couple of those games like Derrick Rose, like Blake Griffin, guys like that. So I think the most common range of outcomes for DeLon Wright could be a 28-minute game, 30 fantasy point performance, and that's kind of what you need at this price point. Wayne Ellington has been brought up in chat. I don't really have I'm not really enthralled or that stuck on playing Wayne Ellington at 46, 5,100. I get it. I understand what you guys are seeing. 27, 26 in the last couple of games. 17 plus real or 17 real points or more in 5 games straight. But he's kind of getting to like the J.J. Reddick's, the Joe Harris type of area where that's all he's doing is scoring real points, and he's not doing much for peripheral floors to kind of increase his value and increase his fantasy point floor. And even with 20 real points at 5,100, there's a great chance that he doesn't get 5x, right? So I'm probably not pushing the issue on Wayne Ellington, but I wouldn't think you're crazy if you thought the Golden State leads this game, they push the pace, and they're going to force this other team to chuck some threes. Wayne Ellington can pick up the slack there. And also Blake Griffin. For whatever reason, Blake Griffin likes to chuck threes in 2020 and 2021. 10 3-point attempts against the Lakers. If he starts hitting some of those, he shot 50% last game. I definitely don't mind the thought of him getting there with 20-plus real points in this spot. On the Warrior side, Steph Curry, 9-4, 9-7. Got him right there with Damian Lillard. I probably have more Lillard than Curry just based on the pace, the total, and the need for him to pick up most of the slack. There's still a world where Wiggins and Oubre can help him out a little bit, help Curry out a little bit. Damian Lillard's basically just him and everyone else. So I give him the seesaw in that 1v1, but I don't mind Curry at all. And then James Wiseman, since going to the bench, I'd like him coming off the bench to stagger floor time without Curry, meaning his usage and his potential increases opposite Curry. Last couple games, 19, 24, 16 minutes for him, a point per minute or greater in each of those games. And the Pistons don't really intimidate me when it comes to restricting opposing bigs from fantasy points. So that's kind of the take here. I think it's a pretty simplistic take here. I don't really have any hot takes when it comes to these players. Maybe you look at a Kelly Oubre on 5,600 on FanDuel. He's kind of like Jeremy Grant in regards to like if he starts hitting some of these shots at a higher clip, like 1 for 11, 2 for 11, 4 for 11. Like his 0 for 5. If he hits half of his shots, one of these days, and we saw it against Minnesota, he could drop 40. So maybe he's worth a tier 3 dart thrower or something like that, but not something that you could feel great about. No warm and fuzzies there, right? What is it, 4:30? Man, we got time. I did really good pacing today. See what you guys got in live chat. Chat, if you guys have any lasting questions, comments, concerns, players, 1v1s, 2v2s, anything like that, let me know. Anything you want me to look at, I'll look at it. Mark says, who's going to win the matchup between Plumley and Wiseman? Well, it seems likely that Plumley and Wiseman don't match up a whole lot here as Wiseman's been coming off the bench. But Plumley should be fine. Like I think Plumley is just like so consistent in terms of point per minute production. Him and Zeller kind of remind me of each other in terms of what they've been for fantasy. Probably don't push the 30-minute threshold, but he does what he needs to do and probably gives you a solid floor to where if you're using him as a foundational play, a stocking stuffer, you're probably not going to be disappointed, especially not in this matchup. So, yeah. Van Jones is running 2 lines tonight with a core of AD, Tillman, Halliburton for the win. Man, Halliburton as a core play seems so fluff, like, oof. But, like, I get it. I've seen his upside, but I don't know that I would be coring him. Oubre for sure. You like Oubre? I don't mind it. Blake versus Draymond fight tonight. I can see it. How about Desmond Bane, says Clemente? I don't think I'm going to the bench of the Grizzlies today. Mark says, a great spot for Curry. I'm with that. Desmond Bane hasn't played since the 18th of January. Neither has any of the Grizzlies. You want stars and great matchups? Yep. Does White back in the lineup, seeing limited minutes, have you lowering shares of DDR and Deonte Murray? I think on DraftKings, Deonte Murray is still just fine at 6K. I think you could pull back on him on FanDuel at 7K. And then all of the guys on FanDuel, the DeRozans, the Aldridges, and guys like that, you could be worried about. But I think if White's is on a minutes restriction, the matchup's like not overly intimidating. But I wasn't going to be high. Even if Derek White was out, I was probably not going to be super high on all of the Spurs outside of that 6K price point on Deontay Murray anyway. I like Adams. He's at a good value. Yeah, man. Adams, Mason Plumlee, all those guys, probably just a chip in a chair for 30 fantasy points. Nothing to it, right? For Anthony Simons for Blazers, maybe. Simons would be good if Covington is out. Yeah, if Rocco is out, remember that I like Cantor more because Cantor's minutes when Rocco was in wasn't at the 30-minute threshold. Now, he might have earned that 30 minutes going forward, especially considering, if he I think the best Kanter is in fast-paced matchups. So I think if the coach is seeing how well he's doing against the Chicago Bulls, you keep him out there. But it feels like Kanter's minutes does harden when Rocco's out and their front court's a little bit shorter. But that would also open up Gary Trent and Anthony Simons, guys like that, right? But yeah, hey, I'll be in the RunDFS.com VIP Discord up until lock. I'll be in there in about 25 minutes in the voice chat. So if you guys want to continue the conversation, go to RunDFS.com, get yourself a VIP subscription, and then go to Discord and click NBA voice chat. And we'll be in there for the 2 hours preceding lock, talking picks, plays for all things DFS, sports betting, player props, stuff like that, and just hanging out, having a little bit of fun. We'd love to have you in there. Should be a fun Saturday. Tomorrow, what are we doing tomorrow, chat? By the way, 180. This is probably a better stream this week. If you guys want to really show some love, hit that thumbs up. Tomorrow's slate, noon, 2:30, 6, 6, 6, 7. So it looks like a 4-game main slate and a couple of wake me up cup of coffee after church games. So there probably won't be a live stream tomorrow. And then Monday we're back 30 minutes later than usual lock, 6:30, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 game slate on Monday. So Monday expect us live at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central. And what kind of games we're dealing with on Monday? Dame and the Bucks, Rockets, Thunder. No massive marquee games, right? Yeah. Let's get back to chat before we get out of here. SG seems to be the toughest position to fill on both DK and FanDuel. Who do you like? One high, one low price. So high price shooting guard for me is Zach Levine. Snap call on that one. And then from a mid-tier shooting guard price point, on either side, shooting guard. Mid-tier shooting guard is a little bit tougher. Yeah, mid-tier shooting guard is really tough. So maybe Halliburton does get a little bit more trendy just based on how shallow that position appears to be. Let me open up a FanDuel thing real quick. Devontae Graham, I don't hate. 5,900 Devontae Graham. I mentioned it. If you look at the Milwaukee Bucks and where they really give up a lot of fantasy points or real points is 3 points allowed per game. They're giving up the third most points per game via the 3-ball. We saw Lonzo Ball chuck double-digit 3-point attempts, hit 7 of them. Devontae Graham will chuck threes with the best of them. Could I get 20-plus real points from the 3-ball? Yeah. So maybe Devontae's the guy I lean on down there. And then Halliburton. Yeah. So probably Levine and Graham. Play smart, guys. Get the value, sir. Anyway, I'll see you guys on Monday. Top Shots is back up. How does this work? Could I open this Cool Cats pack on the stream? Or should I not do that? I honestly have never got a pack, but I won some drawing to buy the rights to a Cool Cats pack. So I don't know. It says hi Gundacker. I don't know, chat. You want to see me open a Top Shots pack? I don't know if this is a market for this. What am I doing? Buying imaginary gifts. Not imaginary, just buying virtual gifts. I don't know. I opened it and it just froze on me, so there we go. Man, my stuff is going slow after I open this up, man. This site's killing me. Look at this. Oh no. By the way, chat, twitter.com/Gundacker. My DMs are open. Don't forget, we have the green screen for sale. Right now is Yankee Stadium. Every stream, I'll give you the rights to the green screen. $20 as long as it's family friendly, in terms of service friendly. So if you're trying to show love to that player that got you to the ball last night, you could put him on the green screen. If you have a non-toxic, YouTube channel or website or Twitter account you want to promote, just hit me up, twitter.com/gundecker. I'll get you covered. I'll get you the rights to the green screen, and you can put whatever you want. Earlier this week, we had someone put Raj on it, and I've been putting Yankee stuff on it. I've definitely had do it. You guys want to see me open up a? So I literally have never done it before. Like I bought the pack earlier. Actually, I may not even be able to open it. Right? I bought it. I don't know how to. How would you open? Do you click this button? I don't want to give I don't want to expose personal information, but I bought one. Where do you open the pack at? Collection maybe. This is definitely the market for it. Oh, for opening. I definitely bought this pack earlier. I just don't know how to open it. But I definitely got charged for it. I want some drying. Maybe it's not in my thing yet, chat. I don't know. When I was a kid, I got a 91 Don Russ Nolan Ryan Legend Series worth $500 at the time. Best day. Oh man, that's pretty cool. Haven't been able to buy one. So I got the email earlier saying that I won the rights to buy one, and then I bought one. I got charged and everything. But I've never opened a pack. Like I don't even know where to go to open it. But I was told that one of these Cool Cats pack could really flip for solid, for solid stuff. So I don't know. I don't see a spot to open, or maybe it's right here. Feature pack Cool Cats sold out, but I definitely bought one. Is there a specific place on this site to go to open packs? Would it just be here? I don't know, chat. Maybe it's not in my thing yet, but I definitely bought it. My dad is I love baseball. Baseball is so beautiful. Upper Decker hologram 89 Ken Griffey Jr. rookie card. Oof. Seems like I got scammed. I didn't get scammed. Somebody told me that they had the same thing happen to them, and they emailed them and they said they would have it by like February, whatever. It should, I think, go to collection. So if I go to collection, think you got games, start collecting, get started with a pack. Sets. So I definitely bought this pack. But I don't see it. So I don't want to start clicking stuff and then just like exposing personal information. So I guess I can't open it. Maybe I'll tell you guys on Twitter. It says my packs. I don't see that. I don't know. So when I bought it, the site was down. Seller's a value center. He is. Should point out those cards were 50 cents per pack. Bro, I miss those days. They used to actually have card shops. I grew up in Staten Island. On my way home from school, finding quarters and stuff on the street as I was walking to and from school. And then like every Friday, I would take everything I had, go stop by a card shop in Staten Island, and I would buy a bunch of wrestling cards, like WWF, WCW, and then I would get some baseball cards. But yeah. Anyway, I guess I can't open this pack. I thought it would be kind of cool to do that, but maybe some other time. I love you guys. Appreciate you guys hanging out with me. I'll see you guys Monday afternoon. Crush it tonight. I'll be in the live Discord chat pre-lock in about 20 minutes, man. We'll have some fun. I'll see you guys